Just an entertaining little story before we get to why this matters to you. So, ICE, the federal government agency, Immigration and Customs Enforcement, their job is to locate, detain, and after following appropriate procedures, deport people who have no legal right to be here. Obviously, people with no legal right to be here don't stand up and raise their hand and say, here I am. They have to look for them. Many of the people with no legal right to be here are visa overstayers, meaning they came here legally with some visa to go to school. Most of them are to be students, but then they just don't go home when they're supposed to. So ICE set up a university in Michigan designed to entice these visa overstayers and other illegal aliens to register in the university. And these people, many of them, in fact, ICE managed over the weekend to arrest 90 foreign-born students who showed up to enroll at a fake university in Michigan, thinking they were showing up to get some advanced degree, and instead they showed up and were proven to be, or those who were not legally here were detained and will eventually be deported. But the catch and the funny thing in this story is this: Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and other leftists are protesting this unbelievably cruel, how could you do this? You use such a mean-spirited trick and bring these people to Michigan. It's so mean, and they came here for an education, and just because they happen to be here illegally, so what? They want more education. Just let them go, well, why are you doing this? They were deploring that these people got caught. Ocasio-Cortez had some idiotic tweet. I decided not to share it with you, but, they all have these. We're so outrageous, it's so ridiculous. Well, as it turns out, the program, the clever idea of setting up a fake university to entice people to come here actually started under none other than President Barack Obama, as did numerous other policies utilized by the Trump administration to try to secure our border, to try to secure our southern border, to try to again enforce our immigration laws, to try to put our foot down to say we actually have a right to control who comes to America. We don't just have to let anyone who wants to come here come and stay as long as they want. We're allowed to be a country. We have sovereignty. So these other programs that Ocasio-Cortez and other leftist protests, such as separating children and parents at the border, making sure that the children really do belong to those parents, having to detain them in jail cells, which the left has become, enamored with describing as cages, also an Obama policy. I'm getting at the idea that the left lives in this country to generate outrage, to make people feel angry about perfectly reasonable, legal, and vital steps we take to enforce the law. The left tries to get America agitated over the idea that we actually might check before potential child traffickers drag people into our country, and we don't even have the chance to figure out, is this really your child, or are you just trafficking this child? I mean, I guess I'm getting out to close out the show before we go to the why it matters to you is this. We have an important obligation in our country. Our government does. President Trump has an important obligation to act as a sovereign leader of a sovereign nation. And that means enforcing the border. That means detaining people who try to sneak in. It means identifying people who come here. Do you have a legal right to be here or not? It actually even includes attempting to locate people who came to America, either never had permission to enter this country or came legally, but then overstayed their stay. The president, ICE, the Department of Homeland Security, our government, not only has the right to check out people who are here, to figure out who's legally here, and to deport those who are not. It has the obligation to do that. And despite all of the whining and moaning about what President Trump has done, the leftists complaining about him had not one word to say when the very same policies were put in place by their dear leader, former President Barack Obama. When dear leader Obama was president, untouchable, couldn't be criticized. Nothing he did could be criticized. And therefore, all these same programs that he did, there was just crickets, complete silence from the left. So I guess my final point in this before I go to my why it matters to you is this: don't get sucked in. Every time Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, Bernie Sanders, Elizabeth Warren, and the whole slew of radical leftists gaining prominence in this country try to work you up into agitation and outrage. We actually can be smarter than they think we are. We can reject their efforts to turn America into a nation of outrage and a nation of anger, because what they're trying to do eventually is win political points to win the presidency and the House and the Senate. They're not serious about critiquing the policies that they're complaining about. It's not a serious claim. It's not a serious accusation. It's not a substantive assessment of the policies President Trump has engaged in. It's not a meaningful discussion about what other policies could we put in place to protect us. All their mindset is to denigrate the president and make people beyond just livid, beyond angry, in order to get rid of President Trump. We have to be the smarter American citizens that refuse to be drawn in by their perpetual outrage manufacturing.